Hi BookTube, I'm here today to talk about a maybe controversial topic, and this is going to be about authors I won't read. So we know with the Me Too movement that a lot of authors are being accused of sexual harassment and assault, and that is driving away a lot of readers from reading their books. And this made me think about a lot of the authors that I won't read because of their personal beliefs, opinions, actions. So these are authors whose works I can't disconnect from their from these things, from their personality. Let's begin with Margaret Atwood. I won't read Margaret Atwood anymore. I have read the MaddAddam trilogy. Full disclosure there. My primary problem with Margaret Atwood boils down to her ego and the worship of her as kind of like the be-all and end-all of Canadian literature, which in my opinion is totally not deserved. First of all, for me, in order for someone to be considered the best in their field, they should be educated in that field and know a lot about that field, right? And based on comments from Atwood, I don't believe she is as well educated as people believe her to be. And I'm going to point out these issues and back it up with direct quotes from her and from other people about her. So this primarily boils down to statements she has made about science fiction as a genre and her disdain for it, and her refusal to have her books categorized in that genre despite the fact that they are science fiction, as well as her total disregard of Native literature. So first off, her total misunderstanding of what science fiction is, and her books should be labeled science fiction. This quote is taken from an interview in which she explains why she doesn't want her books to be labeled post-apocalyptic. She says, "In a true apocalypse, everything on Earth is destroyed. Whereas in these two books," she's talking about the MaddAddam trilogy, I believe, the only element that's annihilated is the human race, or most of it. So she obviously hasn't read the dictionary term, which defines apocalypse as an event involving destruction or damage on an awesome or catastrophic scale, i.e. not everything on Earth. She also has this very skewed view of science fiction, which is astounding. If she's ever picked up a science fiction book in her life, she would know that these statements are not true. So, these two quotes are from her. "Science fiction, to me, has not only things that wouldn't happen, but other planets." So if you've ever read science fiction, you know that this is blatantly not true. She also says, "Science fiction is no more than talking squids in outer space." So she insults an entire genre because she doesn't understand it. That's just outrageous to me. And it's not only science fiction that she's completely clueless on, it's also the works of Indigenous authors. So she wrote this whole book on the theme of survival in Canadian literature. And a lot of people still to this day take this as the thing that defines Can Lit. And believe me, it is far from it. I'm gonna quote because I get really angry about this and I lose my eloquence, so I'm gonna use this quote from an article written by Alicia Elliott about her dismissal of Indigenous authors. "When Margaret Atwood wrote her foundational work on Canadian literature, Survival, a Thematic Guide to Canadian Literature, she happened to leave a considerable hole in her literary account of the country. She didn't reference a single Native author. Considering her book posited that Canadian literature consisted of different types of victims surviving their circumstances, this omission is particularly ironic. It should be noted, however, there was a chapter that examined non-Native writers' fictive portrayals of Indigenous people, rather tellingly entitled First Peoples, Indians, and Eskimos as Symbols. In A Double-Bladed Knife, Subversive Laughter in Two Stories by Thomas King. Atwood excuses her exclusion, saying she simply couldn't find any native writing. Of course, one questions her due diligence when she follows up her semi-apology with this rather ridiculous contradiction. Margaret Atwood says, "Why did I overlook Pauline Johnson, who is a Mohawk writer-performer and poetess? Perhaps because being half white, she somehow didn't rate as the real thing, even among natives, although she is undergoing reclamation today." I'm just going to leave it at that, and hopefully you can infer that Margaret Atwood has no clue of what she's talking about when it comes to CanLit, and about Indigenous authors, and about probably this whole country. Yeah. I really don't know how someone so revered by so many people can be so ignorant about the career that she is pursuing. And to be honest, I really don't like her writing. Next is Orson Scott Card, and there's another disclaimer because I have read Ender's Game here, but I will not be reading anything else by this man. And this is largely due to his views on homosexuality and his politics and his religion, which kind of dictate his views and his politics. He's very staunchly against homosexuality and has even said that he will have to find himself responsible for tearing down the government that allows it, homosexual or gay marriage, so that his children can get married when it's their turn, because he believes that allowing same-sex marriage will somehow negate straight marriage, which is absurd. He also wrote a piece about Obama that was just full of conservative conspiracy theories that have no holding in reality. Like, he wrote that it was Obama's goal to become a dictator, and that he was going to use Hillary Clinton as a puppet to control America, and that he had a private army, which he called an urban gang, which is just, you know, racist. And yes, I'm including his religion as a basis for not reading his works. If you don't know, Card belongs to the Church of Latter-day Saints, or the more commonly known as the Mormon Church, and any religion that believes in cutting off relationships with your loved ones because they have asked questions about your religion is a cult. I have other problems with the beliefs of the Mormon Church that I won't elaborate on too much because this is a video about authors and not about the Mormon Church. But I'll say that the beliefs allow for racism, sexism, and homophobia, and that these opinions are evident, apparently. I haven't read them, so I can't validate this statement, but I've heard from trusted sources that these opinions are evident in his works. So this is why I won't be picking up any more books by Orson Scott Card. And lastly, I won't read Marion Zimmer Bradley. And I don't believe in trigger warnings when it comes to fiction, works of fiction. But I am gonna provide one here because this is real life. And it can be really uncomfortable for people to hear about these things. This is about child molestation. So yeah, if you don't want to watch, I understand. So, Marion Zimmer Bradley. It wasn't revealed until after her death that Bradley had sexually abused her daughter from the ages of 3 to the ages of 12, and had knowingly protected her husband, who was also abusing the daughter, who not only her husband wrote a book in defense of pederasty in the terms of passing on knowledge from an older male to a underage male, and he dedicated the book to her, but also her husband was charged multiple times with sexual molestation of minors. He wasn't charged for the molestation of his daughter because that wasn't revealed until after their deaths. I don't think I really need to delve any further into why I won't read any books by this horrible woman, despite the fact that she is writing 1980s fantasy, which I love, and the topics that she addresses in her books are topics that I'm really interested in. I wouldn't be able to shake the thought of her actions and separate them from the work, and I don't want to in any way support her. So yeah, those are 3 authors I won't read because of their personal beliefs and because of their actions. So let me know if there's any authors that you won't read because of those reasons, and thank you for watching.